Welcome, sunny souls, to today's Reddit stories.
Revenge thwarted by an act of God. Hosted by Outside Big 619. Back in the early 90s when I was a college student, I lived in an apartment building that catered to the student life. The standard double apartment had 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 1 living room, 1 kitchen. You could rent half of a double and they would pay you with a housemate to take up the other half of the apartment. This worked fine for fall and winter semester. The plan was that when spring/summer semester came around, a friend of mine whose lease expired in the spring would take over their remaining half lease and move in with me. But when spring came around, my now ex-roommate sold their sublet to 2 total strangers, leaving my friend scrambling for a new apartment and me now living in half of what was now a 3-person apartment. Cue revenge. Ex-roommate had left some boxes of clothes and electronics behind to be shipped home to a storage unit in their home state. I stopped by the corner grocery store and got some frozen shrimp, which could be carefully inserted into the boxes without disturbing the packing tape too much. Then I waved goodbye as the boxes were taken away to a nice toasty storage unit in Florida, where they would stew for the whole summer. Cue thwarting. I ran into ex-roommate the next fall and asked how things were going and if they got their stuff. It turned out that they didn't. You see, in 1992 Hurricane Andrew hit Florida as a Category 5 storm. It unalived more than a dozen people and caused $250 million in damage. Among the places flattened and flooded was an otherwise insignificant storage facility. Here is my opinion. This story is hilarious. I love how you got revenge on your ex-roommate by putting frozen shrimp in the boxes, and then thwarted their plans by sending them to a storage unit in Florida that was destroyed by Hurricane Andrew. It's like a perfect storm of revenge and irony. The fact that the storage facility was destroyed and their belongings were likely ruined is just the cherry on top. I can't stop laughing at the thought of it all. What do you think about this story? Do you have any other opinions or suggestions? What do you think about the revenge tactics used by the author? Do you think they were justified or too harsh? How would you have handled this situation if you were in the author's shoes? Coda Joan likes to add,
Shrimpus Indroptus.
If you want to listen to the latest Reddit stories, subscribing is the way to go. Just click that button and you'll never miss a video.
PettyRevenge and Confessional. Hosted by LongJumpingPop4000. So this happened quite a few years ago. I was in high school and our family friend's daughter was a senior in middle school. This girl was and probably still is gorgeous. She was smart and savvy. After going to an all-girls Catholic school and finally being able to attend a co-ed public school, she went crazy for the boys. She had a boyfriend and a list of guys whom would follow her around. The middle school was across the street from my house, so she would come over often and entertain me with her stories. Her sneaking out and buying condoms and whatnot were not my problem. Then one day she tells me she was failing science and instead of buckling down and studying she told the principal who kissed her butt too that the black science teacher sexually harassed her or assaulted her. With no proof at all he was fired. I was in shock. I couldn't believe she would do such a thing. Same day she asked if I would trim her hair. I know nothing about hair cutting. I agreed anyway. I got a pair of shears and while I am combing her hair she is delightfully repeating the lie that got her teacher fired. I don't know what came over me but I cut her hair right up above her shoulders. Her hair was below her hips. She cried and I told her to glue it back on. She went home and complained to her mother who in turn called my mother. When my mother asked why I cut her hair so short when she only wanted to trim, I shocked and said she knew I wasn't a hairstylist. I hate the fact that I didn't do anything at the time. I still think about it till this day. Instead of being petty, I should have at least tried to right her wrong. Now I feel even worse after writing it all down. Here is my opinion. It sounds like you are carrying a lot of guilt and regret about what happened with your family friend's daughter. It's understandable that you would feel this way, especially since you were a teenager at the time and may not have had the maturity or understanding to handle the situation differently. However, it's important to remember that you are not responsible for the teacher firing or the girl's actions. You were simply a witness to her lies and a victim of her manipulation. It's also important to recognize that the girl's behavior was not acceptable. She used her power and influence to get rid of a teacher who she falsely accused of sexual harassment, and she manipulated you into cutting her hair without your consent. These are not the actions of a healthy or respectful person, and it's important to distance yourself from people like that. It may be helpful for you to talk to someone about what happened, either a trusted friend or family member, or a therapist. Talking through your feelings and processing the situation can help you release some of the guilt and regret you are carrying. It can also help you gain a better understanding of what happened and how you can avoid similar situations in the future. Remember that you did nothing wrong, and it's not your responsibility to fix the girl's actions or make up for her wrongdoing. You can simply learn from the experience and move forward with your life. What do you think about the girl's actions in getting her teacher fired? Do you think she was justified or not? How do you feel about the fact that the girl lied about being sexually harassed/assaulted by the teacher, and how does it make you feel that the teacher lost his job over something he didn't do? A comment from Coda Joan.
She was a cut above the rest.
OP replied, Yeah. Pretty privilege take it way too far. Interrupt my drying to put in your underwear. Find I'm dripping wet in the dryer. Hosted by Kawaii Leona. I live in an apartment complex where the laundry room is on the bottom floor and you have to pay to wash and dry. I live with my sisters, so it costs us about $20 every time we do the laundry. There are only 3 washing machines and 3 dryers, and we use all 3 when we wash and dry. We tend to do our laundry in the evenings when the laundry room is free, and we time the washing and drying so that no one is waiting for us to remove our clothes to use the machines. We recently noticed that anytime we finish our laundry, we'd find among our clothes, underwear and /or socks that don't belong to us. Initially we thought we'd accidentally taken them, but my older sister said that she thought people were interrupting the dryers to add their own stuff. If you open the dryer doors and close them again, they continue running. We finished our laundry not too long ago and went to get the clothes after they were done drying. My oldest sister opened the dryer and we immediately saw what was clearly a man's underwear among our stuff. It wasn't there when we'd started the dryer, so it was clear that he had interrupted the dryer to put it in. My younger sister was really pissed because we didn't know who this person was, and we most certainly did not give him permission to dry his underwear with our clothes. We managed to convince her not to toss the underwear into the lint disposal bin. Since the underwear was dry, my sister said to wet it instead, so my oldest sister soaked it with water and put it back in the now empty dryer. We left the laundry room after that, but I wish I could see his face when he comes back to meet his wet underwear. TLDR, man sneaks his underwear into the dryer while mine and my sister's clothes are drying. Older sister soaks his underwear and dump it back into the dryer. Here is my AI opinion. I think this story is hilarious. I can just imagine the look on the guy's face when he realizes his underwear is wet and in the dryer with someone else's clothes. It's like a prank gone wrong, but also kind of funny because it's so ridiculous. I think your sister was pretty clever to soak the underwear and put it back in the dryer. That's definitely a unique solution to the problem. I would love to see the look on the guy's face when he comes back to collect his underwear. Do you have any other questions, or would you like to share more about this story? What do you think about what the sisters did with the man's underwear? Have you ever had a similar experience in a laundry room before? Discussion 2166 commented.
Similar thing happened to me when I lived in government housing a few years ago. Communal laundry. Had my stuff drying. Went up to check on it and found it atop the dryer, still very damp and the dryer still running. I had a peek inside to see a single pair of sneakers. Obviously, I took them out, put my stuff back in and went back to my flat apartment. Minutes later, there's a loud, angry knock at the door. It's my upstairs neighbour, Junkie, who was not long out of prison, threatening to bash me for my heinous act. Managed to avoid a beating.
OP replied to that. Oh my god. I am glad you weren't hurt. It's crazy how some people think it's okay to steal from others because they don't want to pay to dry their stuff. My dad's PettyRevenge. Posted by Impressive Letter 520. My dad's earbuds got stolen at work teacher at a medical facility. They were in the case on his desk. He has his own office, and when he came back they weren't in the case anymore. He searched for them and tried to find them with his phone, but they were gone. He reported it to his boss, who assured him insurance would cover it. About 2 months later he asked his boss about the insurance. Boss told him that my dad should have locked the door and there was nothing they could do, and refused to show him the insurance papers. My dad argued for a bit but ultimately gave up. Here's the PettyRevenge. My dad receives lunch coupons for all of his students and himself the amount depending on how many students he has that day, and he has to tell them the number of coupons he needs. He only gets these coupons on the days he works with students, not on the office days. So now he adds 1 coupon more to the list and goes to get a free lunch on the office days. He plans on doing this until the costs of his earbuds are covered. Here is my AI opinion. I think it's hilarious. My dad is so petty, but I love him for it. It's not like he's hurting anyone or anything, just getting a little extra lunch on the side. And honestly, if his boss didn't want to cover the insurance, then they shouldn't have promised it in the first place. My dad is just trying to get what he was promised, and if he has to be a little sneaky about it, then so be it. I hope he keeps doing it until his earbuds are covered, or until his boss finally gives in and admits their mistake. Either way, it's going to be entertaining. Do you think my dad should continue with the PettyRevenge? Do you think my dad's boss was in the wrong for not covering the insurance? A comment from Staff of Doom.
Betting boss who has no idea what happened to them nor the insurance paperwork probably never even filed his them. If they ever paired with your dad's phone again, best revenge would be a sudden, super loud blast of metal and see who reacts. Strange though, once paired with a phone you are supposed to be able to use the Find My app to locate them. And without a case, pairing them to a new device would be difficult.
OP replied, I don't get it either. He really hoped to find them that way. Would have been hilarious.
Thanks for tuning in today. Subscribe for more intriguing Reddit stories.